Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the 2023 College Football Playoff National Championship game, as it is number 3 ranked TCU going up against number 1 ranked Georgia. TCU's run to the national championship game has been very surprising, to say the least. However, Georgia's run to the national championship game has been heavily expected from most college football fans. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Who will win the national championship game, TCU or Georgia? So, when I'm looking at these two teams right here, these are two completely different teams. When you think about TCU, you think about the underdog story. You think about the fact that they were not relevant on a national level just last year. You think about the fact that they were just entering their first year under Sonny Dykes, their head coach for TCU, first year head coach for TCU. You think about the fact that they were entering a rebuilding stage. And what happened? They ended up going on a pretty nice run in the Big 12. And they end up finding themselves a pretty good quarterback. His name is Duggan. He's been playing pretty solid. He's thrown for over 3,500 yards. He's been pretty solid throwing the football, 63.7% completion percentage rate. He's thrown 32 touchdowns, just 6 picks on the year. He's been a pretty good runner as well, adding 461 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns on the ground. And more importantly, TCU has a 13-1 record. They started out the year 12-0. They looked like they were going to win the Big 12 championship. They end up losing that to Kansas. So that ended up happening. Kansas State, that is, I believe. And they ended up losing 31-28, ended up being a tight game. But anyways, TCU, they ended up getting the number 3 spot in the college football playoff rankings. They take 4 teams to the college football playoffs. They ended up taking them at number 3, even with the 1 loss. And then they shocked Michigan in their last game, winning 51-45. I'm pretty sure no one saw that coming. I didn't see that coming whatsoever. I see that TCU is the people's team, and they are a rootable team. They are America's biggest underdog. But I got to go with Georgia in this one, because when you look at Georgia, you think about their defense, you think about their experience, you think about the conference that they play in. They play in the best conference, that's the SEC. They got one of the best coaches in all of college football, that's Kirby Smart. They got a quarterback that's very, very experienced, Stetson Bennett, that is. You think about their defense, you think about the weapons that they got, you think about their tight end, and you think about the fact that Georgia, quite frankly, they're just a bigger, they're a more battle-tested team. And when you look at it from that perspective, that means Georgia, they're just flat out the better football team. And I think Georgia, they're going to go ahead and win back-to-back national championships for the first time since 2011, 2012. No, that was not Georgia that did that. That was Alabama that did that. When I look at this Georgia team, they remind me of this generation's version of what we've been seeing from Bama from the last decade. I mean, Georgia, they're just a better team. They're more stacked. I mean, you look at the quarterback, you look at the running back, you look at the receivers, you look at the O-line, you look at the tight end, you look at the defense, you look at the coaching. I think this is Georgia's game to lose. And I understand that Georgia, they almost lost to Ohio State. They probably would have lost if Ohio State didn't miss that field goal at the end of the game. And to be honest, Ohio State did outplay Georgia. But let's be honest, guys. TCU, they're a good team. I'm rooting for them to succeed. But they're not on the same level as Ohio State. They're not on the same level as a Georgia or Alabama even. Yet, even though they might have finished better than them, let's be honest, TCU, they're not on that level. So when you look at it from that perspective, the SEC, which is the conference that Georgia comes from, is the best conference in all of football. And TCU, they come from the Big 12, which is not exactly the strongest conference. So when you look at it from that perspective, the best team in the Big 12 versus the best team in the SEC, that doesn't necessarily equate to that being an equivalent matchup. I do think TCU, they're a bunch of overachievers. I think they're going to battle hard. But if their running back doesn't play, because their running back, Kendre Miller, he's got a right knee injury. If he doesn't play, that takes away a dimension for what TCU can do offensively. They're going to have to rely on their backup running back. I know he played fantastic against Michigan, but going up against Georgia's defense is just built different. And I know that TCU's defense, they're pretty solid too. They know how to make tackles. They know how to get pressure. But like I said, when you're going up against Georgia, it's just a different animal. I mean, I'm just looking at the Georgia factor. And when I see the Georgia factor, I just think they're flat out the best team. I've always thought that they were going to win the national championship since day one of the season. In my opinion, it's not going to be moved by that. So what do I think will ultimately happen? Well, I mean, look, TCU and Georgia, they're going to get into a dogfight early on. TCU, they're going to kick around Georgia's butt a bit. I think that TCU is actually going to score first. They're going to get a field goal, but Georgia, they're going to score a touchdown. Then Duggan, he's a competitor. He's going to battle. TCU's quarterback, that is, he's going to throw a touchdown, make it 10-7. Then TCU, they're going to add a field goal. 13-7, and everybody's going to say upset alert. I think that late in the first half, TCU is going to have the lead, but then Georgia, they're going to score a touchdown right before halftime, and that's going to take the momentum away from TCU. I think Georgia's going to hold a 14-13 lead at the half. I think Georgia's going to get a field goal coming out of the half. And then ultimately TCU, they're going to score a touchdown, make it 20-17, and they're going to notify everybody, oh, upset alert, TCU, they're about to shock the world, and they could potentially win the national championship, and they're going to make this upset a very real possibility. However, Stetson Bennett will put together a game-defining drive that'll put Georgia up 24-20. The guy has the clutch factor. He might not have the strongest arm. He might not be the fastest guy. He definitely isn't the biggest guy out there, but he's got a lot of heart. He's got a lot of courage. He's got a lot of grit, and he's going to do it again like he just did for Georgia last game against Ohio State. He's going to throw a touchdown that's going to put Georgia up 24-20. He's going to make plays happen, and he's going to make sure Georgia takes that lead for good. And then Georgia's defense, they're going to do what Kirby Smart's defense always does, which is, you know what? They're going to start clamping down. They're going to shut down the run. They're going to get pressure on the opposing quarterback, and I don't think TCU is going to score a point for the rest of the game. I think Max Duggan, he's going to start turning over the football. He might turn it over once, and I think that he's going to throw a lot of near-costly interceptions, but I think he'll ultimately end up with one turnover, and I think one of those turnovers is going to lead to 3 points for Georgia. I think TCU in the fourth quarter, they're going to take a huge risk. They're going to go for it on fourth down. They're going to try to be aggressive, and they're going to fail. And that's going to lead to a field goal for Georgia. And I think Georgia's going to hold on to win this game by the score of 30-20. So I got Georgia by 10. I think Stetson Bennett, he's going to play a pretty good game. He's going to be a back-to-back national champion while playing a key role in those championship runs. I think he's going to throw for 2 touchdowns in this game. I think he's only going to throw 1 pick. And I think Max Duggan, I like the guy for TCU. I think that he's a competitor. I think that he's a grinder. But he's only going to have 1 passing touchdown, 1 pick. He's not going to play fantastic. He's just going to be facing way too much pressure from Georgia's defense. The relentless pressure is going to be coming from there. And Georgia, they have the championship DNA, which means what I'm trying to say is, look, you know what's the oldest saying in sports is? Defense wins championships. In Georgia, they just flat out have the best defense in the country, and I think that statement's going to test true again. I mean, ultimately, look, the experience in the defense, that's going to be why Georgia prevails in a tough game. I think TCU is going to give them a dogfight, but I think Georgia, with the talent that they have and the defense that they have and the clutchness of the quarterback of Stetson Bennett, that's going to elevate Georgia over TCU. So I got Georgia winning the national championship instead of TCU. So my score prediction is TCU 20, Georgia 30. So I got Georgia winning this game 30-20. So that's my score prediction. So those are the reasons why I have Georgia winning the national championship again, which means that they're going to be back-to-back national champs. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in a future video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.